Hey there, I am back with another deck review, and today we're going to be looking at Vivid Kingdoms from 1000. 1000, otherwise known as Peter Robinson, is an artist and designer out of Michigan. His artwork's marked by bright and whimsical characters, and he's done murals and artwork that have appeared all around the world, from Seattle to New York City, along with countries like Japan, Germany, New Zealand, and beyond. Well, it turns out that Peter and I actually have a few things in common. First, he also has a YouTube channel, although admittedly his is just slightly larger than my own. And back in 2021, he embarked on a journey to create his own deck of cards, documenting the whole experience on his channel. And he turned the whole thing into this sort of interactive experience, soliciting ideas from followers and even running polls for several of the key decisions. His campaign launched close to the same time that I ran my own Rattler Gorge playing card Kickstarter, but 1000's results took it to a whole other level. By the time the dust settled, he had raised over $2 million from more than 23,000 backers, marking it as the most successful Kickstarter playing card campaign ever by a wide margin. Well, after all the struggles of finally bringing the decks to life and doing so at a scale that very few had ever experienced, I was excited to finally get these in hand. And having traveled the Kickstarter journey myself, albeit at a much smaller scale, it was really fascinating to watch everything unfold. So let's venture into the artwork of Vivid Kingdoms and see how 1000 did. All right, so starting off with the tuck boxes. So the cards and the inner tuck box of this two-part tuck box were made by USPCC, but it includes an outer sleeve here. These were printed by the Gambler's Warehouse out of Texas. And it's a matte finish tuck sleeve with, unlike the name Vivid Kingdoms, kind of a monochromatic feel. So it's just this dark navy blue with little accents of gold. And then you get the nice little cutouts in it that reveal some of the more detailed artwork inside. Now for me, definitely kind of a flat and almost lifeless exterior sleeve, hiding some of that beautiful artwork inside. So for me, I could have done without the tuck sleeve, and honestly a little bit disappointing that it kind of doesn't seem to fit right. You can see that extra little wiggle room there. So not a huge fan of the outer sleeve, but still some nice cool touches. I love the cutouts where you can see the peaks of the artwork inside. But you get the Vivid Kingdoms, the little triangles here on the front in the gold, and then the 1000 logos on the sides. A little bit of ad copy for Vivid Kingdoms there on the bottom, mentioning the whole thing made in the United States of America. And the cutout on the back that reveals a little bit more of a splash of color from the interior tuck as well. And then that really simply slides off to reveal the much more vibrant tuck box inside. So there's your outer sleeve, but the inner tuck, I think, really starts to kind of amp it up. Still not as much color as I would have liked, but that's something you're going to see tons of as we get to the cards themselves. But your first real look at some of Peter or 1000's artwork, and it is really beautifully done. Kind of a cartoon, almost anime art style that kind of inspires his work, but beautiful detailing all the way through. All this hand drawn and really nicely done. You see the character on here kind of looking like a character out of Greek mythology or something, with the plumed helmet, the snake shield here. Just really nicely done, and little hits of color, although most of it done kind of a black and white vibe to it. You get the 1000 Vivid Kingdoms and the 1000 logo in a nice vibrant orange here, and just some slight embossing, not on the whole tuck box, but the 1000 logo here does have some embossing on it. I wish the whole thing had been embossed. I think that really would have added to it. Turning the sides, just some simple little symbols here, the crown, the skull, and this little face. Other side with the dagger, book, and the rose. Some ad copy on the bottom mentions USPCC, who made the deck itself. And on the top, the phases of the moon across with that kind of paint, spray paint look to it. Maybe an homage to his work as a muralist. And then the back here, not a look at the back design of the cards, but does include a little bit of extra artwork. This is the same one that we saw peeking through the cutout on the back of the tuck sleeve. And that nice aqua color. And you can see a little tiny preview of the back design of the cards here. She's got it held in her hand there. And then Vivid Kingdoms with a little bit of extra details. Love the little paint drip on this one as well. Pretty simple tuck seal, just the 1000 logo and Vivid Kingdoms under it. And as you open it up, that eye staring at you. That's a really kind of surprising touch and a nice little pop of color as you open it up. Extra little symbols here, including the 10 Hun logo on the inner flap. And the interior here includes something that was included as an addition in the Kickstarter. So seemingly sort of random list of names here. This is actually one of the tiers in the Kickstarter, so you could pledge for a level that allowed you to get your name printed on the interior of the tuck box. So these are the, I believe, 40 different people who opted for that tier. So kind of a cool little personal touch for his followers. All right, so that is the tuck box. Not a lot of color on it, but something that really kind of gets remedied as we get to the cards themselves. But before we get to that beautiful color on the faces, let's take a look at the more monochromatic back design. And here it is. So again, really beautiful artwork, all this hand-drawn, beautiful reflected scene here. So fully symmetrical, top to bottom, left to right, and just an explosion of detail. Of course, your eyes are drawn to the two faces on the top and bottom, and these sort of abstract faces in the corner here. And then just splatters of little details. You can pick out little elements like almost like flowers or leaves, shards of glass floating in the air, the arrows here, just lots of fun little details, but a really nice flow to the card overall. Love that he maintained the symmetry throughout and the nice thin white poker border. By the way, the color here, not a true black, but instead a really, really dark blue color on this one. So nice look to it, but would have liked some color brought into this one overall. This is one of the many decisions that is that he kind of ran that poll for on his channel. So there were versions of the card back that included more color, but instead opted for the monochromatic, as that was the one that kind of won out in the polls. Now, for all of the, I guess I would call it lack of color we've seen before, as we flip to the faces, this is where I think the deck just really comes to life. And we'll start off with the 4 aces. So the power ace here is the ace of spades. And finally, we get that explosion of color that I've been looking for. Beautiful colors in this one. So you get the negative space spade pip there in the center, all in white, along with the negative space pip and index in the corner. And then all the rest of it is just filled with a mural of different designs. All sorts of characters peeking their way through, and first hint of kind of the theme of the deck. So each one of the suits is meant to be inspired by a different fictional kingdom. Not much backstory beyond that, but each one of the kingdoms just sort of represented in the suits. So with the spades here, we'll see some of the different kind of characters and artifacts from the kingdom. You can see the little skulls, the, I don't know, voodoo doll or something over here, the 10 Hun headstone at the top. Really cool little details and lots to pick out as you kind of pour your way through the entire face here. Lots of fun little elements and just really skillful artwork. Love the colors, the oranges, kind of reds and oranges, the blues and greens. Just great after kind of more monochromatic on the rest of the deck to see the color really come to life on these. The other 3 aces go away from that negative space and instead kind of concentrate the mural in the middle of the larger pip. So here's your diamond pip, not a classic diamond shape, a little bit distracting, almost looks like an upside down heart. But you can see the wizard and the bull there in the center of this sort of face looking diamond pip. And then the club, more little details, all the faces crammed in the middle of that club pip. And then the heart with a myriad of different characters and different colors all the way through. Beautiful aces, really love what was done on those, and love the mixture of colors, of course. And then we get to the number cards, and this is one of the coolest, most unique parts of the deck overall. So the 2 through 9, those 8 cards are kind of put together to form a scene. So as you go through the cards themselves, you'll see different artwork, and every single one of the number cards includes fairly standard pips, but then includes kind of artwork that's interacting with the pips in some way. So you'll see characters that are maybe standing on the pips, or in this case, the ogre who's getting ready to hurl the spade pip from the 4 of spades. Just cool little touches all the way through. Fun little look to them overall. But what makes this even cooler is the fact that you can put these together to form a scene. So I mentioned the 2 through 9, those 8 cards can all be paired together, and I'll take the first few here. And as you line them up together, they start to connect together to form an entire scene that tells the story of one of the kingdoms. And if you lay out 2 through 9, you'll get to see that entire scene in all its glory. It's a great way to appreciate the artwork of the pips, and some, just kind of a unique way to bring the whole thing to life. So I'll include images here so you can see what they all look like. And like I said, each one of these inspired by one of the kingdoms. So you start out with the spades with a look at the wizards and mages. So you'll see magic users doing battle all around the cards. Then the diamonds go to the bards, minstrels, and storytellers. You'll see some of them playing instruments, some of them writing books or stories or reading them off. Next up are the clubs, which are the soldiers. So we'll see images of war and battle spread across the scene. And then finally are the hearts, the love-struck suitors and those kind of engaged in courtship. So you'll see dangling love letters as they profess their love to the maidens. It's a beautiful set of imagery and a really cool, fun look to the cards. So that's the 2 through 9, but what about the 10s? Well, the 10s are kind of the signature cards and fitting for 10 Hun or 1000 to include his own mark on the 4 10s. The first one, the 10 of spades here, includes that eyeball, same one that we saw in the inner flap of the tuck box. And then the other 3 10s all include stylized logos of some sort for 10 Hun. So nice little way to put his mark on the 10s. And then finally, we come to the court cards. And if the denizens of the kingdom are featured on the pips, the courts then, of course, are going to be some of their rulers. And these are outstanding. The artwork on these is really just some of the brightest, most colorful in the entire deck, and I absolutely love them. Beautiful court cards. You can see here on the spades, kind of more blues and reds, or kind of those oranges, but the blues and greens really kind of dominant on these, and just kind of a beautiful modern style. You can see elements of anime and cartoons that kind of bring their way into this, and that's something that Ten Hun says is kind of part of his inspiration, but all of them are just really nicely illustrated overall. 10 of spades even includes the jack of spades rather, and even includes a little 10 of spades reveal there in the fingers of the jack. But just really nice artwork. And then more reds brought to life as we turn to the diamonds. And you can see the next few characters. King of Diamonds here, probably my favorite one in the deck. This one definitely looks a little bit inspired by Odin with the raven over his shoulder and the one eye gouged out. So probably an Odin-inspired character there as the King of Diamonds. And then we go to the jacks. Another fantastic trio of characters. If you remember, the clubs were the soldiers of the kingdom, and so these might have been some of them sending some of their denizens off to war. And then finally are the hearts, the love-struck suitors. And here are those. Just fantastic artwork. Love these. So they don't fit into the overall images of the kind of the scenes from the number cards, but kind of stand alone as their own unique pieces of art. And then the last 4 cards in the deck are the extras. So we get a couple of gaff cards. We get a duplicate jack of spades here. This one holding the back design of the cards in its fingers. So you can use that as like an extra little magic trick, swapping out the 2 jack of spades. You also get a double backer, just a classic gaff card for Magic. And then finally, the last 2 cards are the Jokers. 2 more fun little bits of Jester-inspired artwork. These were actually not revealed during the campaign, so they were left as one final secret for backers to not get to see until they got to see the final deck. So you get one of them here with the dog wearing the Jester outfit, and the other one, this character with kind of a squid hat on with the VK for Vivid Kingdoms reflected in the sunglasses. Cool little extra pair of Jokers. And that is the deck. A beautiful achievement of artwork. I would have liked a little bit more backstory or something going to it. I'm always a sucker for lore and decks, but the exploration and the journey of bringing this to life, I think really just made this an interesting deck, and clearly Ten Hun has some amazing skill as an artist. As far as handling, so these were printed by USPCC, so you're probably pretty used to what these feel like. It's on a nice crushed stock, so nice thin stock, and handles really, really smoothly. So no complaints on the handling or anything like that. Like I said, if you felt USPCC or bicycle decks, you're going to be really familiar with that air cushion finish they use. So, feels like most USPCC decks do. So nice, smooth handling deck, but wouldn't expect too much less from USPCC. And that is the look at Vivid Kingdoms. Beautiful achievement, at the kind of scale and given the struggles he had in bringing the deck to life. Not sure if there's a second deck in the works, but I certainly hope so, because the amount of artwork that he put into this one, I think just a really interesting achievement, and just kudos to him for putting the whole project together. Hoping to see more of it in the future. But anyway, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll put a link down in the description if you want to go check out Ten Hun's campaign and maybe see some of his videos where he explores the entire making of the deck. Really well worth watching. I watched a lot of them myself and really enjoyed them. But that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe for more deck reviews, more unboxings. Let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you for the next one.